All right, I'm joined in by German entrepreneur Dr. Mario Schmidt, who will be discussing the EU Free Trade Agreement, sustainability, and the role of fenestration in India, which is a relatively untouched topic. So, welcome to CNN News 18, Dr. Mario. It's a pleasure to have you here, and that too in very interesting times because EU and India are all set to finalize their free trade agreement. It's almost reached a finish line. But given the timing, how important and crucial is it to ensure that this free trade agreement is locked as soon as possible because of this tumultuous, not just geopolitical climate, but also the economic climate? Look at the Trumpian tariffs.
Thank you so much for having me here and the opportunity given. We need to be fast. But now, I would say we're at the right time because the market is really in place. The way India has shapen up during the last decade, it's really amazing. And I know the discussion went on since many, many years for this free trade agreement. But now, having India being the number 4, 1 year, they will overtake Germany. Also we are having an eye-to-eye level now, and it is really the right time. And seeing the geopolitical circumstances, I think it's the need of the hour, and it's a real win-win and mutual benefit the moment we are going to have it in place. My personal opinion, but I'm sure on this.
Do you see a silver lining to the tariff tirade by the US president, given that it's now the right time to diversify, as several economists have said? The EU president, who was in India some months ago, also emphasized on the need to diversify, and both European Union and India are looking towards each other for that diversification. Your thoughts?
Yes, Madam von der Leyen is a real personality with a long political background in Germany too. And as I said, many years ago it started, and now the roots of European companies here in India are already so deep. Now it is only, I would say, to ease up the process so that we can be faster, and India will have a big gain in the overall global trade while having chance of getting products made cheaper over here. Consumer can be benefited, and for Germany, when goods are getting exported to Germany or to the European Union, we have almost 400 people living in the European Union. It's a huge market, and it's a huge opportunity for India, and I would be really happy to enable this as quick as possible.
So we've already started the EFTA, which includes Norway and Switzerland and all of these countries. EU should also follow suit. But do you think it is because of the absence of an FTA with EU that Germany and German companies are lacking that kind of access to the Indian market? Also, in terms of investment, will the FTA ensure that that's sped up?
The moment we have this guideline or this agreement in place, the top ones of Germany, the big public listed, are already here since many, many years. But now it's important to pull those who are ranked 2, 3, and 4, because they need more assurity. When I'm going to invest for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and my investment needs to be extreme large because of my industry or because of the setup what I need to produce certain products, then it is a need of the hour, the need for the decision makers, that they are not stepping into a dark or deep water, that they are stepping somewhere in where they are welcomed and the framework is in place. And while having this, the investment confirmed is going to come both ways. Even I always emphasize to students or wherever I'm going to be invited, today is the right time for Indian companies to invest in Germany. Don't see it as a one-way. In Germany, many companies are looking for a successor, looking for someone to overtake. The opportunity is huge, is large.
And what are the sectors that Indian investors and capitalists can tap into in Germany?
Anything related to industry, anything related to craftsmen, to production, industry, may even trade. But overall, it is somehow because of the situation that the citizens are getting old in Germany. The average is at least 20 years older than India. Many companies are looking.
India's a demographic heaven at the moment.
This advantage needs to be taken, and this card needs to be played well. And while having a counterpart then in Europe, France, Italy, Germany, wherever, Spain, will give much more of a mileage as a European company then of going into the straight market. As we are here since more or less almost 20 years, being based over here, it has given us such an advantage of supplying our products to the Indian consumers across the country. So, and that's why, my Indian dear friends, please look Europe as a main market to invest and see it. If you have a chance to open a counterpart over there, it will enable a lot of things, just not export.
Interestingly, I remember when the initial set of the 25% tariffs kicked in, we had reached out to several traders who were supplying goods for Christmas to the United States. And they were like, you're very, very confused about what will happen to all of those Christmas goods that they were supplying to the United States. So here you have it. EU can be a promising market to tap into.
More citizens than the US. Entire European Union, as I just said, around 400. More than the US. It's a huge market, and it should be seen as the European Union. So not just individual countries. As it's a huge opportunity.
So every time I speak to experts from EU, when we talk about what is sort of stagnating the FTA with EU, many have quoted bureaucratic complexities. They have also spoken about regulatory hurdles. And it's not just with EU. Investors from the West largely have that complaint with India. What is your assessment of what are the hurdles when it comes to the access to Indian market?
Also I would say I represent a success. I'm personally here since 19 years. Our company is here since 19 years. And I would say since 2018, since we have the GST in place, everything is super easy. India is much ahead in terms of compliances, of making it online. Files are getting processed much, much faster compared to Germany.
Now with GST 2.0, it's supposed to get simpler and faster.
Yes. I would say there, I don't want to say lame excuse, but somehow I'm looking for something, but the road is really clear, the sun is shining, the weather is perfect, the right time to start your situation or your announcement to set place here in India.
Germany, interestingly, has invested heavily in India when it comes to renewable energy, especially with the 2022 Green and Sustainable Energy Development Partnership. How big is right now the focus on hydrogen, green hydrogen? And how can India be, or rather Germany aid India in achieving its own sustainable goals?
Also first, I need to thank the GIZ, Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit. It's a German body to connect here in India, Indian stakeholders from the government, from the industry, and getting the German expert in that we, for a new technology, that we don't need to invent it completely new. We are getting the German experts, and they are trying to bridge gaps between industry and government bodies. And now for the hydrogen, what we believe in Europe, and by the way, like for example, Germany, we just want to replace the old energy with the renewable one. But India, as a place where I have a rising demand, every year the demand of energy consumption is rising up. That's why it is the need of the hour to make it renewable, to make it sustainable. And hydrogen is the future battery. It is seen as the battery of the future. During the daytime, so much sunlight here in the country, so many hours of sunlight, I will have a lot of excess energy. And during this time, I will run the renewable hydrogen plant because there the technology is quite costly. But if I have excess of the solar energy, I'll create the hydrogen, and at night or at peak hours, I can consume them, and I'm getting them actually produced almost free of cost. It's an amazing idea, and a place like India with so many sun hours, we have a good opportunity to put it here in place.
So it's interesting you talk about how green hydrogen is the future fuel. And so how will an FTA between India and EU ensure that regulatory hurdles are removed from this sector as well? Do you think, or do you believe that FTA will also ensure that there's a speedier access to green hydrogen?
The investments are huge. That's why when this FTA is in place, so that European companies, I don't want to name them, but who are the pioneers in it, can come immediately in. And when they know that I have an RI period of 10 years, 15 years, with this FTA in place, then definitely investments are going to come much faster in.
So within the EU, Germany is India's top trading partner, especially going by figures of last year. Still, we have observed that whenever it comes to investing in Asian firms. Germany is also looking towards China. Is India being dwarfed by China at the moment when it comes to investment, not just from Germany, but from EU as a whole?
China was or is still seen as the manufacturer of industry goods in the world. And Germany was or is still the supplier of high technology goods across the world. China was in the need of getting these high-end machineries and setups to China to produce the goods which they are sending across the world. But now with initiatives like Make in India, when we are setting up the same facilities over here, then of course those industry goods can be sent or are in a need in India in future so that the best products made in India can be sent across the world. And as more this industry segment is growing, as more we are going to bridge the gap between the deficit between India and China so that it is overall going to largely increase.
All right. As someone with over 3 decades of experience in the fenestration industry, which is a relatively new topic for Indians at least, let's talk about sustainability first. How do you ensure that there's a zero sort of carbon imprint? How do you ensure that in this field?
So the product what we and my industry friends are producing is factory made. And this was the first revolution. In the past, windows and doors were fabricated at site. And now when we are coming with products in produced in factories under quality control of factories, zero waste management, all the raw material which is spare is going immediately back to the value chain. We are going to give to all customers, or the industry gives to all customers after sales service, then also replacement of old items, and those items are going again back to the value chain. This is what is the main impact. And the product itself, of course, we are going to talk about today airtightness. I always say, when I sell you a refrigerator without gasket, no one is going to buy. But all the local windows, as of now in the country, don't have a gasket sealant, and everyone runs the air conditioning, and then all the cold air is going away, and it's a lot of energy loss. Now with these new windows, with this new technology, I'll make them more or less absolutely airtight, so that the cold I'm going to get from the air condition remains in, and it's not going to go out. And with the special glazing solutions, I'm controlling the heat gain as well. And now with an industry in place, architects have someone to talk to. Previously it was an unorganized segment, so it was done by carpenters at site. But now when factories and this industry is in place, before a building is made, architects in the industry making an energy calculation, how much impact a building like this will have, and what is the perfect glazing solution, and then we can forecast what is the energy consumption for this particular building.
So it's interesting you emphasize on glazing, and that's why I want to ask you. You also mentioned that it was relatively an unorganized sector. What are the protocols at the moment in India when it comes to glass and glazing?
Protocols for glass and glazing, we have the NBC in place, the National Building Code. There's one chapter about glass and glazing, and by now we have even 2 standards from the Bureau of Indian Standard in place related to glass and glazing and fenestration. There I'm privileged of being since 2010 a part of the board members on those panels from the Bureau of Indian Standard, and I could really widely work personally to put my time, my expertise in, so that the best products for the customer are going to get developed. Like recently, when we had the situation, one car fell down.
Yes, I was about to come to that. So it was the Mahindra showroom
Yes.
a month ago that
Yes.
Thar just broke through that entire glass window. And is that incident in itself testament to the kind of poor fenestration that's taking place in big cities, that too a national capital like New Delhi, in commercial buildings? What's your assessment of how fenestration is being done? Because this entire incident, which also went viral, has highlighted the problem of poor fenestration.
The standard or the roadmap with the NBC is in place. It says everything up of 5 feet from the ground without any grill or any balcony outside needs a special laminated glass. And for these laminated glass, there are tests which are checking the impact that even if the glass breaks, no one can break through. And if in this particular building the right glazing solution would have been used, the glass would have been damaged, but the car wouldn't have fallen out. And this shows again there's a big gap on awareness. Get the right products in place accordingly to the standard. The standard is there. Just follow it, endorse it, and check that any property you are getting in, that your glass and glazing is done, is executed according to the standard.
So where do you think is the gap? The execution? And are there any safety protocols? Who's meant to inspect them? If you could shed light on that.
It's a knowledge gap, I would say. It is in place, and it should go to the architect, who is the main decision maker, to all my industry friends who have to say it is wrong. You need to do it like this, because otherwise you're not compliant to the standard. And then the law should be endorsed. The moment I have a regulation in place, then we need, of course, checkpoints. In such incidents like those, there should be an investigation why it was like this, knowing it is wrong, who is responsible for this. And while doing this, then definitely we are going to lift up the overall industry for safe and secured product for all the Indian consumers.
I'm sure it's also the implementation of these rules and regulations, which perhaps now that you've highlighted, we'll also from our end ensure that it is put in place and there's greater awareness. So thank you, Dr. Mario, for
Thank you so much.
generating that awareness
Thank you.
for all our viewers out there. It was a pleasure speaking to you and to have you here at CNN News 18.
Thank you so much.